Hello, this is your man, the man about town, Petty Murphy, reporting to you live from the back of the classroom with Akata News Network. What is that? Wait a minute. Stay tuned. Breaking news. They are tabling a resolution in the United Nations to declare the transatlantic slave trade the worst atrocity in human history. So Ghana has tabled a motion in the UN where they're saying, declare this the worst atrocity that never happened. And because this happened, you took our people, you prospered, and you were able to build your nation off of my people's labor, not my labor, but the people I sold to you. You owe me reparations because of that talent we lost. So Ghana is admitting to human trafficking and says, yeah, we sold these folks, but you owe us reparations for these folks we sold you because they went through slavery. All right. You're trying to get our people over there so you can replace them with your people and then using my people's struggles. Okay, let's say we did come from you. You didn't go through that. I'm just like, wow, all of y'all need to go and go forever. Never return.
Shirley Chisholm, right? Her family was given housing priority over African American families. And she wrote about that in her book to share to people that, like, during that time, America was intentionally bringing Caribbean families here and giving them more generational wealth and taking that away from the African Americans that were already here.
So I went to Brooklyn College too, and I have this Trinidadian professor. But what she said was like, back in like the 60s, 70s, they wanted a more docile N-word. They was doing too much.
Yeah.
So they brought over the more docile, well-behaved, hardworking Black people from the Caribbean, and they gave them opportunities to land and housing, and especially in New York.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of Black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
But I want to explain that.
So now, what is your position on reparations?
I'm gonna be direct with you. I don't believe in reparations. I don't.
Well, then you don't believe in the Black community. That's
I will tell you, brother, in the hat with the glasses on, that's not true. What I will tell you is that there's a question if you're gonna get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one: of all Black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because you've had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years in America. Of American slavery. There was slavery in the Caribbean. The one brother came up, he said that he's first generation, the brother in the Congo, because his parents came from Jamaica. My grandmother is from Jamaica, so my grandmother is Jamaican. I know exactly what you're talking about. My mother was born in the United States. I'm born in the United States. So this is a fundamental question. You a Black man, I'm a Black man. Am I eligible for reparations right now? I would say the answer is no, I'm not. Because my family is from Jamaica. My father's Panamanian. His grandparents were born in Panama. My father immigrated to the United States. So does that make me eligible?
And I've already been told this by one of the biggest white law firms that I know have already sat across the table for me and my staff, said, Dr. Hanson, we're going to help you all with reparations. These are Jews now. That we'll help you all with reparations, but the problem you got to watch out for is that you're going to have all kinds of blacks coming out against you. And I said, I doubt that. And they said, no. They said, I said, how do you know that? They said, we might be white, but we're not stupid. They said, we know there are blacks in America who are paid. They're paid to come out against you all on everything you want to do to get black folk out of the ditch. We know that. And said, if we're going to help you, you better be prepared to deal with that and give us some ways of dealing with it. And they're going to come after you a lot of ways. You're going to have a lot of blacks coming after you telling you the same thing like whites, that you don't need it, or that's counterproductive, or whites will get angry, or you're going to create racial problems in the country, anything else. See, it doesn't create a problem for anybody else to get something, only when you all get something, it creates a problem. They're going to come out and tell you that, okay? And they're going to be paid to do it. And they're going to try to do it also by always blending it in, going back to those terms I told you about earlier. Anytime a black person comes out and starts talking about all, we all, you all, poor folk, multicultural, culture diverse, minorities, you all have been had and been shampooed, okay? That's what it means. Anytime you got a black elected official, or a black civil rights leader, or a black minister, you're going to represent all the people, you've been had.
Family, only in America we can have our first black governor of Maryland veto a bill for black people. So let me get this straight. Senate Bill 587 actually recommended reparations for enslaved Africans that lived in Maryland. It gets passed by the House and the Senate. We're talking tax rebates, tuition waivers, and home assistance. Real shit, y'all, not no DEI brochures. And what does Wes, all skin folks ain't kin folks, more does? He vetoes it. Says we've had enough studies. It's not just a study, this is a blueprint. It's like telling an architect to just build a house without drawing the shit. The man said we don't need no more research, y'all. Look, we're not trying to write a thesis, we just trying to get our damn checks, bro. Damn, it's funny how we got all of this sense of urgency to help these white South Africans come over here and cry persecution. First class, front row, a whole motherfucking welcome kit. Meanwhile, black Americans are still waiting on their refund for building the damn country. Let this shit sink in, family. We waited 241 years to get our first black governor of Maryland, and he used his pen to cancel reparations. That shit is crazy to me.
Why is it immigrants are not stopping reparations?
My ancestors come from the Caribbean, and there were slaves in the Caribbean, and we didn't
qualify for the American reparations.
Well, here's the challenge: there are so many difficulties with trying to enact reparations, in part because the question is who gets them. Potentially, I could fall into that category. I honestly have called a pipe dream in the past, and I think that's what it is.
Well, it would be nice if there was an elegant, simple solution to all sorts of complicated problems. You're not actually talking about how to fix those problems if you're only talking about reparations. If we're only debating how we're going to parcel out responsibility for something that happened more than a century ago. And we're probably never going to do this. It's not clear to me why we're pursuing this thing.
Is it fair that there's no reparations, no restitution, nothing?
Should the Irish get reparations, by the way? Irish need not apply signs when they came here during the Progressive era. Sure. I mean, how far do we want to take this down? Are we acknowledging that there are ugly spots in history? Because 60% of the world would be entitled to slave reparations if you wanted to play that game.
Well, here's a fact. Slavery ended 154 years ago. It's been a long, long time since we had slavery in this country. And you have people like my family. I'm black, but my family came to the United States in 1962. My parents are from Costa Rica. Do I get a check?
I did a couple of essay contests that I actually won. And I won like NAACP AXO award for this essay and something else. I can't remember another, like I ended up winning money. And the essay was, do you think black people should get reparations? And I was like, no, you didn't work for it.
Why are you so against reparations?
Valerie, it's a matter of a waste of time. We've got so much to do. And yet you have people who invest so much energy and attention on what I consider to be a dead-end idea, a dead-end movement.
If we were to pay reparations today, we would only divide the country further. We would insult many black Americans by putting a price on the suffering of their ancestors.
So, after all those multiple segments of all your different favorite Negrocrats, or Democrats, whatever you want to call them, but I know what we should call them, because if there's one thing I've noticed, right? When you go back and you look at the lineage of all those congressmen and senators and governors, they've all got one thing in common. They're tethers. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to be very clear. Not all immigrants are tethers, but all tethers are immigrants. And if you pay attention to what's happening now with the African Union and all the different 54 nations of the continent of Africa and the legislation that they're slowly trying to create and push to the United Nations, they trying to get reparations out of the United States of America's ass. And there's a possibility it might go through. But guess who's being left out of the conversation for the African and Caribbean reparations conversation? Well, I'll be the descendants of the motherfucking slaves. The lineage of people whose ancestors did all the fucking work. The people who continue to do all the fucking work so that all these immigrants from all these third world countries can come to America to get a better life. You know, the Moyos and the Mayetes, you know, the Akatas, the niggas with no culture, they don't know who they are, they are shiftless and lazy, they don't have any morals. You know, I find it odd that the people that are shiftless and lazy and have no morals, but actually built the infrastructure, created the agriculture and everything else for this great nation, right? I'll tell you this much. If we're so shifty and so lazy, why is America what it is today? And I know you're going to say, because immigrants built it. But all the people that are screaming because immigrants built it, those immigrants didn't get here until after 1965. As I showed you the numbers yesterday, how many African and Hispanic or Spanish immigrants were here in 1960. So, if they were so great, if they come from cultures and civilizations so great, why are they all running here in mass? That's the question nobody's asking. Because great people create great civilizations. If their countries were so great, why are they all running here in mass? And the crazy shit that nobody wants to have this conversation, but you notice how many of them cosplay? I mean, they acted like allies for years. But now you got them running around, celebrities like Busta Rhymes talking about they created hip hop. Everybody's showing their ass now. But I'm glad that they're showing their ass now. Because now we know what we're really dealing with. We've always known. But those were the quiet things that were said. You know what I'm saying? It was the big pink elephant in the room that nobody wanted to talk about. We heard the mumbles and all that shit. But now it's on Front Street. I've been clip farming it to death. Go through my fucking timeline. For all those that want to live in denial. And I get it, because niggas is salty. Some of them are dumb, and some of them are just fucking suckers, and they don't care. So, hey, at this point, it is what it is. But stop fucking complaining so much. Because at this point, y'all don't really want to do shit about it, but complain. And for those of us that want to do something about it, y'all get out the way and just let us get to work. Because if you're going to complain and you're going to cry about they and them who won't let you get shit done, or how they're taking away all your civil liberties and shit. But it's funny because the only people I see that are actually voting against anything that has to do with us are motherfuckers that look just like us, that just come from other lands. The people that we opened up our arms and accepted into our communities. But y'all don't seem to see that shit. And then y'all go out there and you fight for them to have, what they call it? Rights and due process. They're actual illegal ones, which is diabolical. I mean, I've showed you Ilhan Omar and her whole constituent, she say the whole point of them to put them in power is to take away Senate and congressional seats from Black Americans. That means you and I. But I'm wrong for saying the things that I say and having the conversations with my peers that I've had. But y'all like being mad at the white man. And hey, I'm not saying there haven't been past transgressions. We all know that there have. But what's happening right now in our current reality? Who cut the money to HBCU funding? Papa Biden and Mama Kamala. Who just gave it back? Oh, DJT. Okay. Who gave him the funds in the first place? In his first term, it was Donald J. Trump. It was. And the first thing Biden and Mama Kamala did when they got in office was what? Snip, snap. But don't nobody want to talk about that. And here it is. The old white man ain't been back in office a full 365 days, but he's already returned the funding to the HBCUs. So again, I ask, the motherfucker that smiles in your face, imports cheap labor illegally, puts them in your communities, which makes the crime rates go through the motherfucking roof, openly admit that they're holding the government hostages and on shutdown so that American citizens are now suffering, and those that actually need these social service benefits can't get them because the government shut down. Because why? They want to make sure that they get funding for Medicare, Medicaid, Section 8 housing vouchers, and SNAP benefits for illegal migrants, which means they're just fucking over the American people on the American people's dime to take care of people who have never paid into the system of the American government. That means we're being over with no Vaseline. But y'all okay with this. But on that note, it's Saturday morning. I'm gonna drink some Bustelo, and I'm gonna have a great fucking day. Because I ain't got shit to be mad at. So yeah, man, y'all stay safe out there. Remember, realize, and transparency forces accountability. Y'all keep your eyes on the stars and keep that head on a swivel. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Always think outside the box. Move unorthodox. This way, they can't stop your manifestations of order out of chaos.